The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Newy Scruggs.
Media Mash coming your way here from the Star in Frisco. Hi, I'm Newy Scruggs alongside the Hall of Famer. He is Ed Werder, also works over WFA-TV. You've seen him when he was on ESPN, CNN SI, Dallas Morning News. Ed has worked everywhere in sports media. And, of course, Ed has also got his own podcast, a Doomsday Podcast you do with Matt Mosley. And I want to start right there as we start to recap this draft. You guys had Bill O'Brien on, and I thought it was a fascinating conversation because Bill was the offensive coordinator at Alabama when Tyler Booker, the Cowboys' first-round guard from Alabama, was there. And then he just finished his first year as the head coach at Boston College over in the ACC and had the Cowboys' second-round pick, Donovan Ezaraku, who was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, second in the FBS and with 16 and a half sacks. So, Ed, I thought the conversation, and let's start with Booker. When Booker comes from IMG to Alabama and his experiences with him.
He said from the very start that, he and Doug Marrone, who's a offensive line coach, was a former NFL head coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were both involved in recruiting Tyler Booker to Alabama, that it was very unusual that he played late in his freshman season, that he was immediately, even on a team where Bryce Young was the starting quarterback, that Tyler Booker showed early signs of leadership on that offensive line for those teams. And he went through the whole process of, Booker and Ezaraku, in his opinion, are both young guys who are passionate about football, which we know that was a prerequisite for Brian Schottenheimer. Both were team captains. They said that Bill O'Brien said, both of these guys, they played big time competition. They know how to prepare. They know how to practice. They're interested in getting everything they can out of every drill in which they get involved. With Booker, I was most curious about how Bill viewed him athletically, because he didn't get, I think he ran a 5.3, had a very poor score athletically. But Bill told me that, and I talked to three other teams, and I'll tell you what they said. But he said, hey, we ran a lot of pin and pull. We ran a lot of screens where he had to pull on the perimeter. And so he thinks he's an entirely mobile guy who can block effectively in space and get to the second level, get out on the perimeter, and that he'll get better at that. But what he's really great at right now is being blocking for a downhill runner. And that sounds like what Brian Schottenheimer wants on early downs, and then get players out on the perimeter, whether it's the rookie they just picked or Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But yeah, he had an incredibly high opinion of both of these guys. And I reached out to him because it struck me when they drafted Ezaraku, hey, Bill O'Brien, who I know well and has always been very cooperative with me when I've covered his team. I think he coached him at Boston College last year. And then his first text back to me included at the end, I love Booker too. And I was like, that's right, he was at Alabama. So what a unique perspective for him to be able to share on two good players.
Really good conversation. And one of the things that he talked about, he says, hey, Booker's going to come in here and be a leader.
Right away. He made, he has no compunction about the fact that he'll be able to do that. He also said, look, this guy has played, he played at the IMG Academy, we heard his story, he left New Jersey, Connecticut area when he was 14, went to the IMG Academy to prepare to be a pro football player. And then he went to Alabama, which that's as tough as it gets in terms of competition and expectations, and trying to impress Nick Saban and that coaching staff, which include a lot of NFL coaches. So he knows what it takes to play in big games and playing, against tough opponents and so forth. And then he also said that, in terms of his character, that he said, Bill O'Brien said, football's his life. Look, this guy wants to win, definitely hates to lose. He said, we didn't lose much when he was at Alabama, but what I remember is when we did lose, when he came back to practice the next week, he carried that loss with him in a positive way and used it to motivate not only himself, but his teammates, scout team, everybody had to rise to the occasion after they lost at Alabama.
He gave a brilliant press conference when he got here. And Ed, you've seen a lot of press conferences here. And I thought that was one of the more impressive press conferences I've ever seen a young man give, that he understood where he was coming to, who was here before him. Basically, he understood the assignment of being a Dallas Cowboy. And that's not to criticize other people, because these are young folks, but this is a very mature kid. And when we talked about what Brian Schottenheimer wants, like, this is what you're looking for. So when people are saying, well, athletically, I don't know about this, I'm like, who's the fastest Cowboys offensive line? I don't know.
We know who the strongest one is, but we don't know who the fastest one is.
Right. We don't know. All these things like that, after all, it doesn't matter. And for the scheme that Clayton Adams and Brian Schottenheimer, what they're going to ask for their offensive line, they know what they need. And that's my whole thing. For all the people that, well, he's not this, he's not that, they know what they want.
It's entirely possible that the Cowboys, because of Larry Allen, because of the experience recently with Zach Martin, that they value guard play in a different way than we do. We might, or the general population in the NFL, the fans might certainly, because they've had that high level of play at that position. I mean, nobody's drafted 6 offensive linemen since 2011, other than I think New Orleans and the Titans are the only other 2 teams that have drafted 6 offensive linemen in the first round since the Cowboys started doing that with Tyron Smith in 2011. And they've drafted 3 guards. Nobody's done that. Usually, the premium positions on the perimeter.
Left tackle, yes.
But we know that Brian Schottenheimer has said he wants to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And in this division, maybe that does start inside if that's where the best players are.
Ed, thank you very much, okay? For our Cowboy listeners out there, please, 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 go look at the division and what was going down on draft day, and go look at the defensive lines and defenses in this division and who these coaches are. Vic Fangio is the guy that when he was coaching the Broncos, like, here's the blueprint to beat the Cowboys. And everywhere he's been,
Miami after that, that was Denver, then Miami, now Philly.
He's been beating the Cowboys. So Vic Fangio knows what to do. You got to face him twice a year. Dan Quinn, you already know what Dan Quinn's going to do. And right now,
we also know the way to beat Dan Quinn. Run the football.
And then what? I mean, the Giants. The Giants, first 2 of the first 3 picks, these guys are going to be something to deal with, and they've already got beef there. So you have to win. I was talking to Rick Goslin, your old co-worker with the Dallas Morning News, another Hall of Famer like yourself, and he said you can't beat the Eagles if you can't block the
Eagles. And you got to love you mentioned his press conference, and Tyler Booker was really good. He did show reverence for the players here in this organization who followed him, or whom he follows, right. And the respect he has for them. And then he said, when he was asked who he looks forward to matching up with, he picked the best guy, right? He picked the bully on the Eagles, Jalen Carter. I can't wait to face Jalen Carter. That first game very well might be against the defending Super Bowl champions on opening night in Philly, and he's not afraid to say, I want that guy.
I understand the assignment. This is what, you know what? I want to be great. I want to be good. That's the guy. He's got the ring. He's on top. That's my job. If you're Dak Prescott, you should be excited.
Sure.
And
because the thing that Dak Prescott needs, and he does need another receiver. For sure they need another receiver, in my opinion. They need a better number 2 receiver, and they seem aware of that because they wanted Tet McMillan if he fell to them at 12, they would have taken him.
Yes.
And even then, as much as Brian Schottenheimer liked him, I think there were people on the staff who didn't really share his enthusiasm for McMillan, weren't sure that he had the speed to get away from elite defenders and create consistent separation in the NFL. Nobody has any questions about Booker's ability to play. Like I said, I talked to 3 other general managers in the NFL right after the Cowboys took him. They all had very high opinions, high grades, and their only questions were the one that I asked Bill O'Brien to answer, which is, how good an athlete is he? How limited is he going to be? These guys here, they know the run game. They know what they want.
They know what, and that's the thing I keep going back to over and over again. It's knowing what it is what's your strategy. And I thought Bill Parcells did a fantastic job when he first got here, and he said, look, I want character people. And that was when we saw a Marcus Spears come in, DeMarcus Ware, Kevin Burnett when he was drafted. And we need those in my mind. That's what you need to build the culture, and that's what they're trying to do. And so in the interview that you had with Bill O'Brien talking about what both Ezaraku in the second round and Booker brought, I thought that was pretty good. And so for the people that are like, oh, you need, who's Dak going to throw to? They'll figure it out. But right now, if you can't block the Eagles, you can't beat the Eagles, you can't win, you look at the division, it's tough up front. Jock Taylor.
I agree with all that.
Good to see you.
I agree with all that.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Your thoughts on Tyler Booker, the first round pick?
I'm for, my first rule with any pick is, can you play? See, I was never a Tyler Guyton guy last year, only because it was clear they were drafting for need. They were drafting like the 5th or the 6th tackle. They were asking him to change positions. I was like, that dude ain't going to be ready to play as a rookie. So I was down on that. But this one I like. I would have preferred for them to get something better in terms of skill position, but that was not available based on Tet being picked earlier by Carolina. So I also looked at it as though, okay, if it goes like it should go, what do they have now? Because Shotty's talked about running the ball and wanting to be physical and all that. Now you got Tyler Smith, you got Cooper Beebe, you got Tyler Booker, and then what's the best thing that Steele does? Run block. So now there ain't really no excuse. I don't know what you're going to do with the left tackle, but there's no excuses for you not to be able to run the ball between the tackles and on the right side.
Well, they've hopefully invested in coaches on the offensive line who can get more out of Tyler Guyton, and that he'll be more committed to his own development, and he'll perform at a higher level this year in year 2 than he did last season.
Okay, so you made an interesting point. Who that start with? That starts with him.
Right.
Like you have all coaches. We can have all the trainers if we want to. You can't out-train a bad diet. You can have all the tennis coaches you want to. If you ain't out there hitting some balls by yourself occasionally, you ain't going to be no good. So if Tyler Guyton has matured to the point where he would like to be a good player and not an overrated bust, then I think it'll be fine.
I still believe that the Austin Richards kid is not being talked about enough.
Why you BSing?
Because guys, we know they're here to play, and they're not just going to sit around here. Hey, I'm gonna let this guy have a job. As at the end of the year, when these coaches were trying to save their jobs, they weren't throwing Tyler Guyton out there. They were trying to save our time. Hey, man, you're going to have to sit.
They're playing a Doga, a journeyman.
Yeah. And because Richards got hurt. So I think I'm looking at this as though, hey, look, there's still a competition. Somebody can want to plug and play. Hey, I think they hope he's there. But if I'm Austin Richards, I'm like, man, I'm going to work here. I'm going to try and win a job.
Well, what Schottenheimer said consistently, the 5 best guys are going to play.
Right.
Don't miss the message here, Tyler Guyton. People might be asking, what about playing Tyler Smith at left tackle? That message, we're going to play the best 5, that's for you.
We'll see. We shall see. All right, let's get a break in here. Let's dive more into Donovan Ezaraku and what Bill O'Brien had to say about him coming out of that year in Boston College, where he was the ACC Player of the Year. Got Ed Werder, got Jock Taylor, Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbers, pot pie, and potatoes, and next oval with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
This is Nate Newton from Hanging with the Boys, and Wingstop is here to bring the flavor to game day as the official wings of the Dallas Cowboys. Order now by downloading the Wingstop app or ordering online at wingstop.com.
Hey, Cowboys fans, a 2024 football season is here, and SeatGeek is here to help you experience all the action. SeatGeek makes it easy to find tickets so you can be a part of all the touchdown celebrations this season. Whether you're buying or selling tickets to Cowboys football games or to any other live event, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official primary ticketing partner of the Dallas Cowboys. The most disruptive idea in ticketing? A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
How about them Cowboys? Or how about them Tyson Cowboys Nuggets? As we cheer for the stars on the field, we love that we've also got some stars on our plate, thanks to Tyson brand star-shaped Cowboys Nuggets. They sure make game day special, and for every purchase of the new Tyson Cowboys Nuggets this holiday season, Tyson Foods will donate $1 to the Salvation Army up to $100,000. As you enjoy your stars on and off the plate, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
Back to Media Mash.
All right, baby, here we are back on the Media Mash. We got Jacques Taylor, got Ed Werder. I'm Newy Scruggs here. The Cowboys take Tyler Booker in round one. Ed's podcast, Doomsday, that he does with Matt Mosley. They brought in the Boston College head coach, Bill O'Brien, who coached Booker at Alabama as the offensive coordinator. Bill's now the head coach of the Boston College Eagles. And Diamond Ezeraku, who went in the second round of the draft, 16 and a half sacks for Boston College last year. That was second in FBS. And he was the ACC Player of the Year. Some people talk about he's small, about 6'2 and a half, but he gets there. I'm not calling him Dwight Freeney.
So he's Freeney-like.
But when you think about what was his calling card at Syracuse, he got to the quarterback, he was speedy.
Strip sack.
There we go. And how many games did Bill say that Ezeraku helped them win last year?
He cited specifically 3 games that Ezeraku helped them either clinch with a strip sack and turn the ball over, or with a strip sack that provided the offense the opportunity to go down and score the game-winning points. 3 times last season. And he said this was a guy who he called him a self-made player. Said he would, stay after practice all the time. We mentioned Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach. Marrone would teach him how offensive linemen were going to try to block him, and he was very engaged in that process on a regular basis. And he said that he never missed practice, that he bought in, even though, with the new coaching staff, Bill O'Brien going there for his first year, didn't have to buy in, but he did buy in and was unanimous team captain, elected by all of his teammates. And yeah, he said he actually won a few games for us. He won us a Syracuse game with a strip sack. He won us the Western Kentucky game with a strip sack, the North Carolina game with a strip sack. So he does that a lot. He just has a real knack for getting the ball out when he gets near a quarterback. Said he plays with really good leverage and flexibility, dip, great takeoff, acceleration to the quarterback, and then gets his arms on the ball, he said. And he said some people will question how he's going to match up in the run game. That'll be the big question for him. But he said he played the run well for them. It's not that he wasn't willing to play the run. He played the run and he matched up well physically, in the ACC. Is that going to translate to being blocked by NFL tackles? We'll see. But he played at 245. Bill thinks he could get to 255 perhaps. But said he just plays a relentless 100-mile-an-hour style of football, chases plays down from the backside, a lot of tackles for loss. So, maybe they found – I don't think he's going to play the run initially as well as DeMarcus Lawrence did, but it sounds like he's at least willing to make the effort. Bill says he won't be blocked in the run game by a tight end. He'll handle tight ends. The question is, can he block a tackle? So you better assign a tackle to him.
The thing I liked about what the little I saw, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you I saw him play at Boston College because they're an irrelevant college program. That being said, there's only one thing that matters when it comes to can you get the quarterback? Can you bend? Can you dip, put your shoulder dag on there on the ground and get around the tackle, then pop back up and go accelerate to the court? That's the only thing that matters. And I know this because it's my famous Ebenezer Ekibon story. And I used to say, I was asking whoever it was, Zimmer or somebody back then, how can a guy stay after practice and work as hard as he does? Y'all all say he gives relentless effort and he can't sack my grandmama. And they said, he can't bend. And so I said, that's when I got the explanation. I said, if you can't do that, you can't play. Look at DeMarcus Ware, all the great pass rushers, they can bend. He got that. And you don't have to be no scout to look at tape of him and see that he got that.
And that's when I talk about a guy like Freeney, because coming out of Syracuse, people talked about the height, but he could bend. And so if you've got that, and the late Gil Brandt, Hall of Famer, would say, Newy, if they're not doing it there, they're going to come up here.
You know, I'm a huge believer in that. I don't even think it's that complicated. Like, who is Shamar Stewart? Mr. Universe, Mr. America. You got 4 sacks in college, dog. You can't play.
Mike Mamula.
Mike, I mean, you just
the black box. I was there in Cleveland. It was all about that Mike Mamula talk, man. I mean, Lombardi and Belichick kept raving about Mike Mamula and that black box. Oh gosh, luckily they didn't get him. But yeah,
like for real, really, like no matter what position it is, if you can't do it in college, and you've played 2 or 3 years, why in the world would we expect you to do it up here?
I remember when Terrell Suggs came out of Arizona State, Ozzie Newsome took him, and he had like 20-something sacks, and people were like, they downgrade. Well, it's the Pac-10, you know. But no, he was doing it there, and he went to the National Football League, and he still did it.
Now there are cases where you did it there, and you can't do it here. I can get that because maybe guys are just better or whatever. But if you haven't done it there in college,
and that's just kind of my privilege. Like, okay, yeah. I mean, for people who you say whatever you want to about the ACC, 16.5 sacks, he did it. You talked about Bill O'Brien. Here's where he won games. And he was the ACC Player of the Year. Would he have been the SEC player? We don't know. But all I know is where he was, he wrecked shop, he did it. If you're the Cowboys, to me, that's what you should be doing in the second round. People are frustrated. You get the running back, not a receiver here. And I'm like, this guy can play. And for those who want to talk about the run, at this point in time, I'm looking at, you got Parsons, but there's going to be, you're going to throw bodies at the position.
And you got guys long-term who are, Dante Fowler is here on a 1-year contract. Sam Williams is coming off an injury. He's on a 1-year contract. So, I think internally they discussed with the second round taking, one of the corners, maybe Will Johnson was a possibility. But this guy just stood out as an elite pass rush guy. And it was not only beneficial immediately now to put him opposite Micah Parsons after you've lost to Marcus Lawrence, but long-term in this organization to have 2 pass rushers like that for, we assume, the duration of their careers.
And Lattimore, Marshawn Lattimore here. So you're going to have to throw bodies at the position. And I kind of think of it this way. You got Parsons here, so he's got to get doubled. So can somebody win on a third down, 1-on-1?
That's exactly what it's all about.
And that's
Fowler can. We've seen that. We know he can do it. He's just coming off a career high in sacks, right? And this kid should give them that opportunity.
And it's a passing game, man. You have to be able to pressure and affect and make the quarterback move and uncomfortable, or you have no chance.
Well, and Bill O'Brien called plays in his last year as the New England offensive coordinator. They played Dallas. He knows what it's like.
Yes, he did,
to absorb the challenge of Micah Parsons and knowing where he is on every play. And now all of a sudden you got another guy who Bill said can play stand-up linebacker too. He doesn't just have to play on the edge. And so I think this is another guy that they can get creative. Matt Eberflus can get creative with.
And I think
now that ain't Flus's strength, is it?
What, creativity? Well, I think he'll. It depends on the players, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Get some players in there. They can help you. Players can help you become good.
They can help you become creative.
I think about the quarterbacks in this division. You got a Super Bowl MVP, and you got a Rookie of the Year. Who knows what they do with the Giants, but you're going to have to account for these players. And so when people were moaning and groaning, and obviously they didn't know enough about Donovan Ezeraku. That's just people just complain, and not looking at where is the Cowboys' defense is problematic.
They other than Carolina, which allowed a historic number of points, the Cowboys were the next worst defense in the NFL. And look, what did Washington do this offseason? Did they not give Jaden Daniels a chance to be greater than he already was? They got a left tackle that they traded for in Laramie Tunsil, and they drafted a tackle in the first round in Connerly from Oregon, right?
Brought in Deebo Samuel.
Right.
To go along with Terry McLaurin, because they're like, hey, you need some help. We need somebody else over here. So
they got their guy some help,
right? But you just look at from the Cowboys to take your first rounds 2 and 3 to go defense. Fans are frustrated. Who's Dak throwing to? I'm like, guys, have you looked at your trenches and how the Cowboys have been getting beat? And then, oh, by the way, the defensive backfield has question marks.
They just need good players, bro. I mean, they needed all of this. It's not like they drafted for players they didn't need. They just needed a lot.
And that was kind of just interesting, just looking at social media, the complainers about that, because the third round, Savon Revel Jr. from East Carolina,
he's typically their second round pick.
Yes.
They made Jerry wait another round. Not a different day, but the Jerry Dr. Cooper Gamble prospect
they made him wait.
Went in the third round instead of the second round, day 2.
We're going to get you that guy, Jerry. We're going to get him for you.
The only thing they needed before they made the pick was the Masters music. Tradition like no other. The injured cowboy.
We're going to get your first round talent.
Dr. Cooper, the Dr. Cooper Award winner. And so,
should be the Cooper draft pick.
But Revel, if healthy, is a player many said is a first round pick. And
most people said 18 to 33.
It's interesting that on some boards of some experts, I don't know how accurate they all are, but Booker would have been the lowest of the 3 rated players that the Cowboys took in the first 3 rounds.
Most boards.
And nobody says Booker can't play.
Right.
No,
right.
It's true.
I mean, outside of Travis Hunter, Rebels could have been
the best corner.
Could have been the best corner.
Great
obviously.
size, length, picks the ball, plays aggressively, and apparently his timetable from recovering from his ACL is much earlier than Trayvon Diggs, and so while they think he'll start training camp on PUP and he's going to miss a lot of field time in the preseason, corner you can probably make up for. Will he be right fully? I mean, we've seen guys come back who aren't quite right the first year, so maybe not. But he's going to fill a need, and he's a unique athlete at the position where they really needed another player.
Yes, it's a gamble, but, Will Johnson was a gamble for someone as well.
It's okay, in my opinion, for you to make those gambles in the 3rd round or the 4th round. I don't like them so much in the 2nd round. But the 3rd round, because my criteria is different. First 2 rounds, those guys need to essentially be walk-in starters or significant contributors.
Yes.
Your 3rd round pick, you really hope is a significant contributor. Maybe he starts, maybe he doesn't, but you want him on the field quite a bit.
Well, and he played more press man in college than any of the other corners who were available in this draft, and that's what Eberflus wants to play. He played that about a third of the snaps.
So you got what you want.
He's a good football player at East Carolina. He's a very good football player. And when I saw these 3 picks to myself, I'm like, they all make sense. There is a strategy there. You say, okay, I understand what you're doing. And
all 3 of them not only will make the team, and depending on Ravel's physical status, could help you from the start of their rookie seasons, but should be good players for a long time.
You would expect all those guys. You would expect it on day 1 to be second contract guys.
And nothing against national guys. You're trying to cover everything. That's a lot. But the amount of people who didn't truly understand the Diggs situation out here when they were trying to kind of, talk about overreaches or this, that, I don't think they understood it. And to talk about Booker and be, well, that was too high. I don't think they understood that Zach Martin was not the Zach Martin that we've come to know last year. That was not that guy, and this was a problem. And they decided to do what essentially everybody wished that, hey, we got a Hall of Fame guy leave. We're about to go draft somebody who can immediately step in here who we think has the potential to be great.
They could not run the football last year. 4 yards a carry, one of the worst in the NFL. 6 touchdowns rushing, the worst in the NFL.
With a quarterback coming off an injury that you'd like to, hey, man, we really don't want you throwing the ball.
Right, we got the run covered.
We don't want you throwing the ball 40 times a game. And, oh, by the way, we went out here and got coaches and said we're going to run the football. It was just kind of interesting to see and hear just national guys like, how much are you really looking into what the issues are here? Because you got, go back to the corner spot, you got Diggs, he's injured. Bland was hurt last year. After those 2 guys.
They played 1 game together.
And
how many guys do they have at corners start 150 or more snaps last year? 7 or 8 corners?
It was bad. And you lost Jordan Lewis. So if you just say, hey, how do I feel about the Cowboys' nickel defense right now and who's back there at the corner spots, you can't tell me. Going into the draft, you couldn't tell me you felt good.
No, it's shady.
Right. Oh, by the way, there's Jalen Hurts. Jake Daniels. I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, guys, when you start looking at this overall, you can't feel real good about what's going on right now, and they needed to fill it. And while, yes, you'd love to have the wide receiver.
32 wide receivers drafted, the most of any position in the NFL this year, and the Cowboys took none. I get the criticism of that. But the players they took are at positions of need, and they're
They just had
highly
more
graded
needs and
players.
picks.
Right.
Yes.
They should have addressed some of this in free agency, but the flaw in my mind with their team building concept isn't how they draft. They do that well. They draft and develop well. They sign guys to say it's in free agency. They don't ever go get starting caliber players.
Right. Not even the best player. Like nobody says you got to go get the best defensive end or linebacker in free agency.
Hold that thought, because when we come back.
Oh, this is like a tease.
Yes.
Hey.
What do they do free agency wise? And did they do enough at the running back position? Ed Werder, Jock Taylor, Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pregame sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit CowboysTravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pregame sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit CowboysTravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash, right here, your favorite media personalities giving you their takes here on the Dallas Cowboys draft. We've got Ed Werder, we've got Jock Taylor. I'm Newy Scruggs here.
I was late, but I didn't take no day off.
Hey, glad you made it, baby. Glad you made it. It's raining out here. Cats and dogs in these streets of Dallas, Fort Worth, and people don't know how to drive. So, Tetairoa McMillan was the hope for a lot of people. At 12, didn't happen. The Carolina Panthers, in a tradition like no other, decided to go take a player that the Cowboys like. Did it with J.C. Horn.
He's taking Mingo's spot on the roster.
Yes. Mingo is your fourth-round wide receiver. I don't know why they kept trying to sell him to the media. I just don't know why. Just help Mingo out. Just act like he doesn't exist till camp. But oh well. So there were rumors that maybe they could trade for somebody. Maybe something could happen here, and that they know they need a wide receiver. What do they do here? Because they know and see that we like our guys ain't cutting it. They know this. Ed?
I don't know. I don't think they have a whole lot of real attractive options right now. I mean, there are teams that have been talking to the Steelers about Carl Pickens, who's one of the most – I mean, he's a dynamic playmaker down the field. He's also –
He's Des Bryant 2.0.
Or Terrell Owens. I mean, it's just doesn't fit the character that Brian Schottenheimer has talked about wanting in the locker room. Not only that, I think he led the NFL in penalties last year. Oh, Metcalf, who they acquired in a trade, was first among wide receivers in penalties, and Pickens was second. But he is a downfield guy who makes big plays.
Free agent-wise, I'll go there. Just free agent-wise.
Well, a couple of teams signed receiver, right?
And I bring that up because there's
Amari Cooper is out
easy
there.
Right. That's the easiest.
31 years old, did nothing in Buffalo last year with Josh Allen.
Well, here's my take, and I have no idea, and I'm not disputing any of that.
And has a bad history here with the front office.
Yeah, but his teammates liked him, most of them.
They're not paying him.
No,
COVID's
COVID's gone. He ain't got to get the jab no more.
COVID's over, man. This was about, this was about that shot. He shot now.
And I don't know about you'd have to look at Amari and work him out and all that stuff, but Amari's a vibe guy, man. He's an intellectual guy. He's a different kind of guy.
Play chess in a locker room guy.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is he's the kind of guy who, if the vibe is not right, for whatever reason, he's not going to perform properly. And so the vibe is right here, and he gets along here, and the quarterback likes him.
Well, the vibe wasn't always great here because they traded him for a 5th-round pick.
See, you keep going front office, and I keep talking about the locker.
What? He doesn't have to deal with the front office if he comes back?
I'm just telling you, if you can deal with the locker room, that's number one. Can you play here? Then we'll figure out the front office.
Well, the front office didn't think he was worth what they were paying him, which was $20 million a year.
Well, he's
not going to get that now.
No.
But the miscalculation with him beyond, hey, he didn't get the COVID injection, and therefore he tested positive and missed the Kansas City game and the Raider game, both losses for the Cowboys that particular year.
I didn't say he was going to the Hall of Fame. You asked me what free agents were out there, and we know they like to spin the block, Zeke. And so
how'd that go?
And so I look at this.
Hey, Elizabeth Taylor married Richard Burton twice, and the second one was fine.
I look at this with Amari Cooper, and Ed, I just say, circumstances are different now. And they need him. I mean, they really need him because they didn't go fix this. So now all of a sudden it's like, well,
I mean, you can get
we had some differences in the past, and then I do wonder about from the coaching standpoint, can Brian Schottenheimer have a relationship with him that maybe Mike McCarthy didn't have, and this new receivers coach? That's that part of that. Can there be some type of?
It may come down to, does he have any other options? Does he still want? How much does he still want to play?
And by the way, the quarterback. I mean, I think that has to factor into this too. If you're Amari Cooper, hey, at least I know this guy.
Right.
I know this guy. He knows me. And if I'm Dak,
I had my best 4 seasons of my career in Dallas with this quarterback.
If I'm Dak Prescott, like, hey, look, what are we doing here? Yeah. At least I know where he'll be. He knows me. And so from that standpoint, maybe whatever happened in the past, that kind of stuff, you go put out the window because you know what? You're the Cowboys. You need him now. Because
maybe you want Keenan Allen. Maybe he's less of a headache. Now he's older, I think.
He is older. He had 7 touchdowns last year, but I don't know how well he got along with certain people on this staff who came here from the Bears.
Oh, I forgot about that aspect. So yeah, I forgot about that part. But he ain't got to deal with Flus.
What happened was
throw up the peace sign to him in the cafeteria over there and keep it moving.
That's where your quarterback got to come in. Hey, Jack, you like me a little bit better? But that's
like I don't like. I'm not a guy who says, and I'm very consistent about it. Oh, we got Flournoy and Mingo, and we got 9 guys out there. One of those guys will work out. No, not really. They could all go over 9, and you have nobody over there.
They got 12 receivers on the roster right now. And they got one they know that can play.
Right, and that don't mean nothing.
CD and the babies.
I like to be like, I know this guy can play at a certain level. I don't even care if it's an average level. At least I know what I...
Can Amari Cooper beat one-on-one coverage consistently?
Yeah.
In a balanced offense, more balanced offense?
And that's, once again, I look at the things with Amari Cooper, and I just, okay, he's familiar with the quarterback. He knows his way around the building. And, oh, by the way, we know he'll get along with the number 1 wide receiver.
Now, he does have to practice, and he's not always fond of practice. And he got to run his routes precisely, not the Amari route tree, which can be a yard or 2 here or there off. But, again, and then you have to make sure that his mind is right. Like, you ain't the guy. So you got to,
because when he was here before,
he was the guy.
That's the guy.
And for some people, it's not a big deal. Like, okay, I realize I'm not the guy, so yeah, I'll take my 65 balls over here. I'll be fine. And some people are like, well, I'm only getting targeted 4 times, and CD got 20. Maybe it could be 10 and 10. Maybe be 8 and 8, or 12 and 9. Why it got to be 12 and 4? Okay. So all those questions have to be asked.
Right. So so there's more work there. Are you satisfied with what they did at the running back position?
No.
I knew your negativity was coming. That's why I went to Ed first.
Oh, well, I wanted to make sure it got out before Ed tried to correct it. No.
Don't worry about it.
No, I think I would have made it a bigger priority in free agency. And, I think they killed themselves in the draft again. We don't want to keep bringing up the 4th-round pick and Jonathan Mingo, but Guess what happened in that round for the second year in a row? That's where all the running backs went.
Kid from Tennessee is sitting right there.
6 running backs went in that round.
And
7 receivers went in that round.
Is that crazy? Like, we don't really value a fourth-round pick, yet a fourth-round pick is somewhat valuable.
And wide receivers and running backs were 2 of your highest priorities coming into the draft, and 13 guys went before you got to pick again.
Okay, I just thought about this. I think the fourth-round pick becomes valuable because it's the last pick before you enter dart-throwing mode.
And also, if you think about what they have done in the fourth round during the years, I mean, Dak Prescott was a fourth-round pick, Pro Bowler. Tony Pollard was a fourth-round pick, Pro Bowler.
Could Jadon Blue be Tony Pollard?
If he don't fumble all the time. I mean, he could be a useful part.
Right, he's an explosive guy. He's a good receiver. But he seems to me like he's the same guy they just traded for with Javonte Williams from Denver, who led them in rushing 2 years in a row and is viewed as an exceptional third down back and blocks better than Blue in those situations. So how is he going to get on? How do you use both of those guys?
Yeah, once again, 17-game season these days. I don't mind it because guys get hurt, strains, that kind of stuff. And Williams, has got a history right now. So I don't mind that. I mean, I feel sorry for Deuce Vaughn.
Can they have an elite running game with the backs they have on their roster? I would be surprised.
I don't think so, but if Rico Dowdle plays the whole season, maybe he's a 1,400 guy, and none of us think he's anything more than just a guy.
And I don't want to.
But no, they need a. Here's what I think: they need a back with more pedigree.
Belichick. The Super Bowls he had, only Corey Dillon was the one lead dog he had. There's several guys here. Andy Reid, several different guys. I mean, you look at the championships he's won. Several different types of.
Why you gonna pick 2 teams with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, man?
And Hall of Fame coaches.
I mean, come on, man. Those outliers. Give us some guys with a good quarterback and an average coach.
Okay. Steelers. That last Super Bowl they won.
Hall of Fame coach.
And Hall of Fame quarterback. But. Okay.
Now, stop it. Just move. Just see. We've stopped this conversation. Let's move on to the next.
Marty Schottenheimer won a lot of running backs. See.
Now, we aren't going to say nothing bad about Marty because his son. So.
All right. So there you go.
So out of respect, I'm just going to not say.
I think Blue can bring back some of the big plays that they got out of Tony Pollard. I think he can do that. So that was a tandem situation.
Yeah, and once again, to hear Jerry say it, he was working on something. Who knows if he's
They've just neglected the position for so long.
Who knows what they do? But
part of team building is you can never neglect anything. It's like when you got a house, you can not just that's not going to ever fix the roof because we're doing all this other stuff. You got to do it all. That's why it's a pain in the butt.
And if we talk about doing it all and all the holes they have and where they have gone to, this to me is a 2-year project.
That's right, because they got more holes than picks.
Right. So I mean, I'm not.
But your quarterback is now at the point where he's getting older, and so that's how you end up missing your window.
Right. This is what they did, but
this is a soft rebuild.
Right now, your hope is to try to compete. To me, is to try to compete for a wild card in this division. That's to me right now. That's your best case. Hey, how can we just kind of hang on here and compete? Because you've got change. Gonna see some things that are different here.
I think they're already behind Washington and obviously Philadelphia when the offseason began, and they're further behind now.
And that schedule, the schedule they have, the AFC West, this is.
They need a Miles Austin surprise. Like you got all these cards, you think, okay, these are off.
Sure.
They need a jack to walk.
Laurent Robinson, somebody pop up out of the blue and show you a little something here. So, yeah, hey, look.
They need something.
I got a name for you, Jonathan Mingo.
That's what I'm talking about. No, for real. They need somebody who's not on your radar that becomes
Javonte Williams is suddenly a superstar running back that we didn't know he was capable of being.
Yeah, or he found what he found.
Or Blue is better than advertised.
Or even
I will even Zach Bond. Like, oh, hey, look at this guy we just got here.
I'll even give you Cavante. He does something that you didn't expect, where he's only catches 40 passes, but he averages 18 yards a catch. Something you don't really have figured for that can give you something that allows you to win a game or two that we don't look for because this guy came out of the blue.
Awesome. All right. Last day of April. Thank you, Jacques Taylor. Ed Werder.
Are we done?
Yeah, man. I gave y'all 52 minutes and 45.
Chris Bean. Thank you very much, Joshy. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,